Hey, Victor, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jason. Good to be here.
Yeah, excited to
Long time listener.
have you on. Tell us who you are, what you do.
Yeah, I'm Victor Huynh. I'm one of the founders, co-founder of Ready Artwork, a website first industrial B2B digital marketing agency. What that means is we work with clients with long sales cycles, multiple decision makers, buyers, engineers, client managers, even the executives. So our job is to help them communicate clearly across all the board.
Okay. How'd you get into this? I know you started, I think you're coming up on the 20th year, or you're already at 20?
22.
Wow.
Yeah. So my business partner, Emily, and I went to school together as graphic designers and we started freelancing. That was 20 some years ago. So, um, and it worked because I was more of the aggressive one and she's the more like conservative one. So I found projects and I was like looking for someone to work with. So we took a lot of classes together. Hey, you want to do some freelance work? One project turned to two and it just kind of grew from there.
That's awesome. And I remember you telling me a story, I think when we were after Elevate, I think we were sitting around the campfire about like the trade show that you guys went to at a market. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So the first 5 years or so, we were doing just graphic design, packaging. Things were going great until the real estate crash, the housing crash, right? And business basically went down to zero almost overnight. So it sounds easy right now, but it took us like almost a year to figure out what we were doing. And that was when we started playing with website design and we decided, well, I had a buddy that had a booth at a local trade show. He's like, "Hey, why don't you just come out and try to pass out some flyers?" And we went there. We we brought a computer. We had really nice brochures, kind of laid out, and it was an Asian expo, so there's a lot of Chinese speakers. I'm fluent, so we're like, okay, it shouldn't be too bad. First day, crickets, right? Everyone walking by, and because I'm bilingual, I was listening to people, and people were like, what are they selling? Like color pencils? Because our brochure had color pencils on them. So they were completely confused. They didn't know what we were doing there. We were just some random people trying to pass out stuff. And Emily was like, this is stupid. I don't want to come back. It was a 2-day show. And I was like, could you just print out a black and white letter size sheet of paper that says website design in Chinese? And we fought a little bit and she's like, no, she felt bad because we were taking up space in our friend's booth. And so back and forth, I finally won that conversation. She's like, here you go, take it. And I'm not coming back tomorrow. I put that little thing right in front of the table, right in the corner, and the whole day, people were just stopping me. I couldn't even go to the
And
bathroom.
Emily didn't come that day?
Nope. And then one day I was like, hey, I sold 5 websites yesterday.
Did she think you were messing with her?
No, she was shocked. Like,
Really?
I was like,
Oh, I would have been like, no, you're messing with me, Victor.
yeah. I mean, it, it was pretty crazy because we were just at the right time at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
But it was really about the messaging, right? We weren't connecting and we were just overthinking it. We're making everything look very pretty. We had carousels on a little computer. We had fancy brochures and we said everything but the most basic message. Like, what do we do? Right. Um, and that's the point of clarity. And that's where we completely just moved from a design packaging agency to a web agency.
Yeah. So many of us for a long time we try to overcomplicate the messaging and we try
Hmm.
to be really slick if you think about it. I used to get a lot of inspiration. I don't know if you used to do this. Like I was a computer programmer in college, but I was more like I was an artist, all my life doing cartoons and drawings and paintings and that kind of stuff. And so when I got out and I started designing websites and running the agency, one of my favorite places to go for inspiration was a bookstore and just to go
Mm,
through the magazines. I wouldn't read the books. I just wanted to go through all these magazines and look at all the creative and the advertisements and see which ones stood out to me. And they were the ones with the clearest message,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. Books, it had stacks and stacks of magazines.
Yeah.
We used to go do our research in retail stores when we were doing packaging. We would walk the aisles. We would do a lot of homework. I mean, back in the print days, we used to bring like actual boards, printout boards. So it was very tactile.
Mhm. Oh, when you were pitching clients?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We used to walk with our portfolio with, when we, even the early days of
With the
web, we
big
were
bag,
printing out
right?
websites.
The
Yeah.
big portfolio thing? I
Yep.
had one of those, yes.
Yeah.
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 And they were on the blackboard and we'd print it out. We did the same
Hmm.
thing, right? Like
Hmm.
it was a really cool time if you think about it, right? Like I even had my briefcase because everyone now has backpacks. I had
Hmm.
a briefcase, but I
Yeah.
got a James Bond briefcase. This was
Mm.
chrome, right? Like you could like run this thing over with a Jeep and it probably wouldn't even see a dent on it. And
Do
like,
you see that in my background? That's
what's
the aluminum case that has
yes.
the red design on it. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
one of them.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I I still wish I kept some of our old designs that we had, like
Hmm.
the direct mail designs and some of
Yeah.
those printout boards. You know, it's just to kinda go back in time, it was a pretty cool. Now that everything's, digital.
I still have some. I mean, I'm kind of a pack rat, but it's every once in a while you look at it, it's like a time capsule,
Yeah,
you know,
don't ever
where
get
we've
rid of
come.
it, Mike. And so what do you remember the most about running the agency in the past 22 years?
I think it's the pivots that happen. You know, when you've been around for so long, you start to realize that change is the only constant. You know, we've gone from even just software. You know, we started on Illustrator. I started on Illustrator like 4 or something
I
like that.
hated Illustrator. I love Photoshop. I never liked Illustrator.
Right. Yeah, and you had Quark, you had all these stuff, right? And it's in
CorelDraw, right?
Flash, right? CorelDraw. And you go into from print where everything was, pretty black and white for the most part, and you went to web and you get into social media. I remember when Facebook came out, it was a big thing. It was going to change everything, SEO. And as we're pivoting and we're adjusting, that's how we basically build where we are. Sometimes you have too many options. Paring down is all you have to do. Right?
Yeah. Well, you had y your agency has gone through where you've hired a bunch of people and then
Hmm.
kind of got rid of people, and now I think you're thinking about bringing on more people. Walk us
Right.
through what was the sense like when you got to a bigger number, when you wanted to scale
Hmm.
down, what was the main reason?
I think, but give it a backstory. I didn't go around a lot of business people. So I think a lot of people, like, I hear you say, like, you didn't know what an invoice was when you started, right? Like, we literally, both Emily and myself, do not have any business experience whatsoever. So everything we built up over the last 22 years is trial and error. And I would say that has something to do with that. We were just filling in the needs. Hey, we need more people. We need more people. And we weren't strategic enough. So after the show, like everyone on a website, those last years subsequent to that, we were just hiring people just to fulfill projects with no real plan. We just took on anyone and everyone. Like we did e-commerce, we did lead gen, we did social media if they asked for it. And you learn to kind of pair what works, what doesn't work over time, right? Um, COVID didn't help, right? So a lot of things are just happening as we go. Um, but I think the biggest thing is that when we grew, we just grew without a plan. I think at our peak we had 25 people and it got really hectic. We had to sell X amount of projects every single month just to make payroll.
Did you feel that you were managing everybody, or were they managing themselves, or, like, were you still the bottleneck?
I never stepped out of sales. I had a sales department, but it was really more like a glorified sales support team.
Okay.
And the high level ones that I brought in were creating their own products, or they were trying to do their own thing, right? And they didn't have a direction.
Did you
Um,
feel you were competing against your salespeople?
no, I think I was a little too generous. I was helping them close and giving them credit for it.
Okay. I because when I first started hiring salespeople,
Mhm.
I was like, "All right, I'm I'm very competitive." And I was like, "All right, we're gonna compete." Because I always everyone always told me, like, "Have multiple salespeople and have them compete, and they'll do better." Well,
Mhm.
when you're the owner, it's kinda like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take the best ones." It's really like I'm cheating from the get-go, and then they're like, "Well, you're my competition, you're not my leader." And it was the wrong dynamics, and I see a lot of agencies doing that, and it took me a long time to realize, be like, "No. Once you hire a salesperson, a sales team, you are supporting them however they need it."
I I had the opposite problem. Well, not opposite, maybe different problem. I wasn't as s- strict when it came to that, and so I knew that I shouldn't compete with them. I gave them all the leads, um, but what I didn't have in place was a high level direction, like how you should be running your department. So I think one of my downfalls is like I was too generous. I was like, "Hey, everything's here if you need me," and they started relying on me to close. Right? They just became coordinators, um, and I didn't give them direction. I knew that I should let talent do its own thing, but then the piece I was missing was they need direction, they need structure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we had pretty much a system kind of halfway through, right? Because I would say, "Hey, here's what's been working for me, and go do it." But I
Hmm.
could see it on both sides, right? Like imagine if we could have talked way back then, together and, like, got it
Right,
right. We'd like, "Oh, yeah,
right, right. I mean, and I don't know if a lot of people have this. It's the imposter syndrome. Like,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not the best sales. I don't have a sales background. I never had a formal sales job. I just came out from college, had a marketing job, and then jumped into freelancing. And I just it fell on my lap. And so I felt like, hey, we were stagnant. Those few years were like, okay, we've grown a lot, but we've become stagnant. And the only way out of here is to hire someone that is better at sales than I am. So I tried to hire my way out of the problem. Um, and then I kind of just threw the ball. Hey, you're much better at sales than me. I'm gonna trust you, and I'm gonna let you do that thing. And that was what was stuck in my head. And that I think that was the issue with that department.
What about on the design side or development side? Like, because you
So
have
design,
you and
yeah,
Emily and you have the expertise on that. So,
right,
how are you
right.
hiring for that?
The other piece is that we tend so the two other big departments was development and design. I would say development, we were a lot more successful because we didn't have the expertise in it. It's funny because we had to rely on the engineers. So I spent my time to understand just enough context to have those conversations. But then I go, you know what? That's not my thing. I'm not going to touch it. And it grew, right?
Imagine that. We weren't the bottleneck for it?
Right. Right. Our senior dev has been with us for 15 years now.
Fantastic.
So and he recently got poached by a huge company, but he turned it down.
Awesome. What was
Um,
the reason why he said he turned it down?
well, there's logistics, but also the relationship that we have and the trust. Like I, I told him, hey, do whatever is best for you and your family. He has a new family, like a new baby, you know. I was like, the plan was always to kind of figure it out, whatever gets thrown at us, and work together, right? So, but it's like he's like a brother to me. We've been around for each other for so long. I was like, do what's best for yourself. I'll support you whichever way. Either you stay or you go. We'll figure something out.
Yeah. Well, that's how you have
You
to
know,
be. Like if Darby or Stacy ever left, I would be crushed, but I would be excited for them as well,
correct.
right? Because we've worked together. Like Stacy's been with me 11 years. Darby is on
Hmm.
5, right?
Yeah,
It's like we understand what each others are thinking. And I feel like now we're more friends than anything else. And I'm just always trying to do right for them. And I know they're trying to do right for each other as
right,
well. So,
right.
but yeah, like at the end of the day, it's a business too, right? And people have
Yeah,
to make decisions what's best for them. So,
right. The other one that we struggle with was really design, just because we're so immersed in it.
oh
You
my
know,
gosh.
like no one's ever good enough, right? Or we don't fully give it. It's faster for me or for Emily to just jump in and just knock it out in 5 minutes. If I have to give it to someone, it's going to take half a day or a day.
Are you still that way
Uh,
on the design?
not me. I've given that up pretty early on when we started. Um, that's how we actually grew it into a company. It's because when we started, I used to submit a mock and Emily would submit a mock. And after a while, a client will be like, oh, that's Victor's design. That's Emily's design. Right. And she was just focused on that. And then we had the conversation like, hey, it's not very productive. Why don't I work on sales and just deal with the front end and she will deal with production? That was our first split of duties and actual departments. Right. And it kind of grew from there.
Yeah, I remember when I was giving up the creative, it was tough.
It was.
Especially the art direction. I think
Hmm.
giving up the art direction was tougher for me because I wasn't the best designer. I was the kind of designer that I had to, like I was telling you going to the bookstore, I had to find inspiration for something
Hmm.
rather than just start with a blank piece of paper and then
Right.
create, right? Like I had to look at something and take
Yeah.
little bits and pieces and build from there. I was never that amazing designer that I hired, probably you and Emily are, like blank piece of paper, and then you can kind of just sit back, think, and then blah. Like I was like,
Yeah.
I was always envious of that. But on the creative direction, I was really
Yeah.
good. I could see something and I'd be like, no, the eye needs to be drawn here. This is the main
Right.
focal point. And I understood like the concept and UX before UX and UI before we even called it that.
Yeah. That's kind of like me. Like because of my background, I'm able to have those more meaningful conversations with clients. But when it comes to the actual production, this skill level between her and I are just day and night. Like I can't even come close to that anymore.
Did you, looking back over the years, obviously you've evolved to
Mhm.
tons, like, or you would die. How do you keep how do you keep your mind open to the constant change? Because sometimes, like, I would go through stages and, you know, certain stages, some things have changed, be like, "I'm just kinda done with that." Like, I don't wanna deal with that anymore, right? Like, you're just like but then I guess, like, when I got to that stage, I would just go, "Darby, Chris, whoever, take it over. Like, I don't wanna do this anymore, or I'm gonna stop the whole thing."
Right. I think one of the benefits, because I've noticed even within our agency group, there's a lot of solo people. We're outnumbered people with partnerships. Is that I can have that conversation with Emily, and I'm the one that shiny new thing, right? I want to do that. I want to do that,
You're
and
more
she's
the
the opposite. She's like,
visionary,
right, and she's more like, no, who's gonna do it,
the gas and the
you
brake.
know,
I love it.
right? So we can have those conversations, sometimes pretty intense conversations, um, and work it out. Because as solo people, you're having that conversation with yourself. It's tough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why I tell people is like, get around other agency owners and you'll feel a little bit more normal. Um,
Hmm.
because I mean, when I was doing it by myself, I mean, I had a partner, but I felt like I was doing it by myself for a number of different years.
Mm,
Right? Like we
yeah.
did it for 13 years or 12 years or some on change. And there was probably some years that I was really bad partner.
Yeah.
But toward the end, I was the good partner. I was just growing faster. I was keeping up with
Mm,
the business. Um,
yeah.
and so it gets challenging. You know, but yeah, I've always
You
envious, like, you guys have been partners for 22 years and you still
right.
like each other. Like, that's amazing.
Not always. I mean, to be candid, we do go at it, and I'm sure there are things that I do that annoy her to no ends, and for me, sometimes I get really impatient. I was like, why aren't things done yet? And we just have to know that that's part of a partnership. Like you're not going to be at the same place at the same time every single time. Sometimes you need to slow down for other people to catch up. Sometimes it requires more patience. Sometimes you might realize, hey, I was being a jerk.
Yeah.
And you have to be honest with that.
Yeah.
And the other person has to be understand that too, or else it builds up really fast. That resentment,
Yeah.
like it's usually how they break apart. It just builds and builds and builds, and it becomes toxic.
Well, I think we just all need to realize nothing's perfect.
Correct.
I mean, it's not like I've been married 20 years. I'm sure my wife's wanted to kill me more than half of the
Mm.
time, right? Like, like you just can't watch, like, you can't. It's kind of like we grew up in the time where they had soap opera, where like my parents would watch, or my mom, my dad wouldn't watch a soap opera, but my mom
Yeah.
would watch like the soap operas, and people think the lives are like that. I'm like, no,
Right.
it's not even close, right? Like, and they think when we
Yeah.
get into business, it's going to be perfect. But I always just tell people, chip away at one little thing that you're the bottleneck. Like,
Hmm.
what's the biggest bottleneck for this month that you're screwing up the
Right.
company? And just implement
Right.
one little thing. Come up with a 30-day plan to extract yourself out from that bottleneck. You do that
Hmm.
once a month, dude. Do you realize how much more time you will have? But then psychologically, you'll have more time and it will mess with
Right.
you, right? And
Right.
you'll be like, I need to fuck shit up because I'm not working as much.
Right.
And then you got to realize that, you got to shift that identity thinking a little bit.
Right. I mean, that's one of the things, right? Like Emily's really, really efficient at getting stuff done. So, and then so things naturally just keep piling on. Right? Even the people she hires, they just kind of manage up. And so recently, she's like, "Okay, we're gonna hand over marketing to Victor," and I'm the lazy one. I'm not efficient, so it's gonna take me forever to do things.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "I'm gonna find a vendor to handle this. I'm gonna use AI for this.
Yeah.
It might take a little bit longer, but I'm just constantly thinking about how do I get this off my plate,
Yeah.
right? So it's a different thought process.
It is. It is. But
Yeah.
in order to really kind of get to wherever you're trying to go, right? Like
Hmm.
I just keep trying to remove the stuff I don't like doing anymore. And sometimes I
Yeah.
forget. I'll be like, man.
Yeah.
And I'll just be like, well, it'll take me 5 minutes to go do it. I'll just do it. But if I spent an hour coming up with a plan to hand it off, I would never have
Yeah.
to do it ever again. And then that
Right.
5 minutes that I put into it every week would be gone,
Hmm.
where it gets me in a bad attitude or a bad mood, and then it just stems the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Like, all of you listening know exactly what I'm saying, 'cause we all do it. But you just have to make a conscious decision of figuring out, what do I need to replace? What do I really love doing? I mean, it goes back to that simple exercise I always tell everybody in the mastermind and everybody to do is draw a circle on a sheet of paper, spend 30 minutes outside the circle writing down all the shit you don't ever want to do ever again. And then the rest of the
Hmm.
10 minutes after that, what are the stuff that you really love? Put that inside the circle. Just do that. Like, if you do that,
Yeah.
it's magic.
It it's just how my brain works, right? You give me a bunch of tedious stuff, I'm gonna try to figure out how to optimize it. Like we used to do a lot of trade shows, and we had a booth, we had all these things, and it was like two cartloads of stuff. And then after like the first year, I got it down to one little box. And I just showed up and set up the day before. I was broken down and gone before everyone else. They had their trucks, forklifts coming in, and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah. Efficiency is a big thing for me too.
Yeah.
I had to actually spend more time figuring out ways to get out of stuff,
Mhm.
in college or even after. It was just I wanted to be doing other stuff. So, but awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Victor, this has been amazing. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you think would benefit the listeners listening in?
Um, not specifically, but a lot of it comes down to like us, our conversations about niching down, like how I said very clearly, hey, that's who we. It's a lot of years of iterations to get to where we are, and I think the other thing was the imposter syndrome. I don't think I'm the only one, but
We're I
something
still
we
get
just all
it.
need to work on.
Yeah. Honestly, I still get it sometimes, right? Like right before I get on stage, like I'm
Hmm.
like, why am I getting on this stage? And then I'm like, well, let's just open up with this stupid joke and then let's see how we go.
Yeah. No, but it's been good though. Good conversation.
Cool. Awesome. Well, Victor, thanks so much for coming on the show. Everybody listening, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit us up if you need any help. Until next time, have a swank day.